Hey guys, it's Tiffany with Hacienda Harlick Honey, and I did a little video about fall prep. So I'm going to talk for about 10 minutes of what I did, and then I'm going to show you some video from some of the yards that we went and did fall prep on last week. So this is a bit of a journal experience for me for fall of 2025, and hopefully you'll pick up some tips and get to see what we were seeing in the bee yards this week. So thanks for being here. Please like, subscribe, and share, and hope to see you around West Texas. Hey guys, it's Tiffany, and I'm just checking in with some fall tips for beekeeping in West Texas. The last couple of weeks, I have been working on preparing my colonies for winter, which I think many beekeepers would say is a little late. But here in late September, what I've been doing is checking overall colony health. So the first thing I want to do is determine, are they going to stay in the same setup that they're in? Some of the colonies are in double deeps. Some of them are in deeps with medium supers. Some of them are in top bars. So I have a wide range of equipment that I use depending on the property and the goal of the property of the ag yard. So with those of my colonies that are in doubles right now, meaning there's one box stacked on top of another box, I have a queen excluder between those two boxes. That's because I'm a honey producer and I don't want the queen to crawl up to the top box and lay a bunch of brood in the area where I've been extracting honey. But now that that season is over, right, and everything that we have left on the hives is going to be for them, or on the colonies for this winter, I want to go ahead and remove that queen excluder because that cluster of bees in the winter, they're going to cluster around the queen, and I want them to be able to move up to eat the honey stores that are above them. Last winter, I overwintered in 8-frame single colonies, so just one single box in 8 frames. This winter, that's not the case because I expanded quite a bit this year. And so now I have some options and some room to experiment. So I'm experimenting with those that are really, really strong colonies that I will remove the queen excluder and leave them in that 2-box setup. For some colonies that aren't so strong, I need to reduce them to a single colony or even do some combines, so combining colonies. Other things that I've been looking at once I get that kind of wrapped around my head, what kind of equipment are they gonna overwinter in? I then have this like three phrase mantra that I've been using, right? So it's kind of like when you leave the house, it's phone, keys, wallet, maybe sunglasses. For me, this time of year is queen excluder, wintergreen patties, and Sweetwater. So Sweetwater is sugar syrup. I'm just using 1-to-1. I know that's unpopular this time of year. A lot of beekeepers are shifting to 2-to-1 for different reasons. You need to know why you're feeding your bees, what you're feeding your bees, and what it's going to do to their biology. And I do. So I have my reasons for why I'm feeding 1-to-1 at this stage, and other beekeepers are going to have some great reasons as to why they are feeding what they're feeding. I'm currently not doing pollen because there is a ton of pollen stores and they're still bringing in pollen, and that doesn't seem necessary. I'm not trying to make them brood up right now, right? Anything that you feed pollen is going to use that to grow. And I don't need them to grow right now. And I don't need their pests and diseases to grow right now either. So that is a choice that I'm making for my yards at this moment based on what I'm seeing. The wintergreen coasters, and so this is something that we had, the TBA convention, the summer clinic was, not the convention, but the summer clinic was here in Abilene last summer, so summer of 2025, and some of my friends got to go to the workshop on essential oils. I did not, but they sent me some notes, and I wanted to try a few things. So one of the things that you can play with is wintergreen in the honey to feed the bees. I did this in one colony. I had one colony out of almost 50 that had deformed wing virus, and it was a colony that was thriving, prolific, super healthy. I took a bunch of splits from, I did some breeding from that colony, and I think I just took too much, and so I knocked them back a little too much, and that made them more prone to, having disease and not being able to protect themselves like they normally would from varroa. So varroa mite vectors disease that includes symptoms such as deformed wing virus. I think we saw 2 or 3 bees with deformed wing virus. It wasn't prolific. It wasn't out of control. I put in a small amount of wintergreen according to the recipe in the honey that I fed that colony. They did eat it all. I'm not currently seeing any deformed wing virus. This is a really poor experiment, right? It's not good science to do one colony with one thing, and I have nothing to compare it against. I was just playing around, and it certainly didn't hurt them. Whether that's the thing that helped them, I don't know. Will I play with it again? Sure. But what I'm doing right now in the yards is not feeding wintergreen, but putting coasters that have been soaked in wintergreen and canola oil. I have those paper coasters that you can buy just, online, and I'm cutting them in half, and I put, the recipe called for, I think it was 1 to 10, but what I ended up doing was 2 tablespoons of wintergreen oil that's food grade with 2.5 cups of canola oil, right? That was a good source canola oil. So I did that, put it in a glass jar, put some coasters in that I cut in half overnight. And then as I'm winterizing the colonies, I put 1 coaster. Some colonies I just did 1 coaster because I wasn't really sure what it was going to do, if anything. The next yard I did 2 coasters, which is really 1 coaster cut in half, 1 at the front, 1 at the back. And some of the literature says that they'll walk over that and spread wintergreen throughout, and it will help limit pests and diseases. I don't know, it just made me feel better. It's like taking vitamin C or vitamin D. I get plenty of sun. Sometimes you just do a little boost to nurture the mind, the mama brain, right? And you want to just make sure that you're doing the best for your colonies going into the winter. So again, remove queen excluder, add wintergreen patties, and then patties, they're coasters, and then feed Sweetwater, which is sugar syrup. So those 3 things, I'm going into the yards like my phone keys wallet. It's that wintergreen queen excluder syrup, right, or Sweetwater, and making sure that I've done that in all of the colonies. Outside of that, I'm just checking for their food stores. A lot of the literature will tell you to keep about 60 pounds of honey on going into the winter. That's about what I'm doing, if not more. Some of them are getting more than that because they have more than that, because they have a full super of honey right now. They are not honey bound, so I'm not worried about it. I'll keep monitoring them. Some of them I can split because they're still so prolific and kind of swarmy, which sometimes happens. We get a second fall flow here in the Abilene area, and I use area loosely, right? So in West Texas, a lot of times we'll get a second mesquite flow, and they'll get bigger again and cast off a late season swarm sometimes. So I'm considering putting a swarm trap up. Another thing you can do is to reduce your entrances. There are entrance reducers that are these cute little Lincoln log wooden pieces that have different size holes, and so you can rotate those to be a big hole or a little hole. You can make the hole go facing up, you can make the hole facing down. Sometimes I use those, sometimes I just get a pile of sticks and wad them up and just block the entrance so that they have a smaller entrance. The reason you want to do that is because you don't want robber bees or wasps or other predators to get into the hive, and you want that small door so the bee bouncers can really block it efficiently, block the intruders efficiently, and protect their stores, protect their pantries. You want to keep an eye on varroa. You want, healthy winter bees are non-negotiable. If you want to have bees last through the winter, this is the time to take care of them now, so that when, they wake up in the spring, that you'll have nice, healthy colonies. This is a great time of year to be tidying equipment. So in my top bars, I'm tidying some of the burr comb that they've built. I'm making rescue bars. With my queen excluders, I'm scraping the propolis off. I'm melting down some of the old wax and rotating old wax out and melting it down and then rolling it back on any of the frames that have plastic foundation. I want to give the bees a head start next spring with wax that they made on foundation, not too much of the gross old stuff. They don't like that, right? I think it was Dr. Seeley's work that taught us that bees tend to abscond every 5 years in nature, average, right? His research is done in New York mostly, right? So overall, what we see is that the bees themselves are like, I've had enough of this old wax. I'm done. I'm ready to move on and build somewhere else and reproduce elsewhere. So it's great to naturally to remove the wax every so often. Some of my beekeeping friends do it every year. Some of them do it 5 years. Some of them do it as needed. Currently, I'm doing it as needed. And so the old comb that's one of my fall projects, right? You have the football on in the background, you have something cooking in the crock pot, and then you're rolling on your wax. It's a good fall afternoon. What else? Yeah, I mean, it takes bees, they consume 7.5 to 8 pounds of honey to make 1 pound of wax. So to get them started with a little bit of something that smells and feels familiar that they can build new comb on top of actually is a huge energy saver for them. It's really efficient for them. And I make sure that a brick is on top of each hive. We have really high winds here in West Texas. And so I feel like having a brick or even a concrete block or a heavy stone or something beautiful is part of the last thing that I do when I'm leaving my colony checks. So our fall prep is just simple habits that add up to really big results. And walking through my bee yard with wintergreen, syrup, excluder is something that I've been doing lately. I should have some new queens arriving this week, so I am going to do a couple of late season splits. We still have plenty of drones in all of my yards. And yeah, thanks for checking out and checking in and hanging out with me. I'm Tiffany with Hacienda Harlech Honey and the West Texas Beekeepers Guild, and happy beekeeping, guys. Here's a walk through my yards. All right, so in this field, we always see a plane, which is really significant to my friend Susan, who is checking bees with me. So I just wanted to capture that in one of the videos. Of course, we're gonna suit up, smoke up. One of the first frames we pulled had a lot of pollen coming in, and I do think that this is pollen from sunflower in this field. And you can just see that beautiful chunky pollen on those girls. I was excited to see a lot of brood, a really robust, healthy colony for so late in the season. So of course I'm just looking for brood, mood, and food. And in this one, I'm also noticing that we found the queen. And so you can see all of the bees around her, that they typically make that little circle. It's her retinue. Those are the bees that are going to take good care of her, that are going to tell her where to go. We want you to lay a girl egg, come over here. We want you to lay a boy egg, come over here. They're going to feed her and protect her and guide her. And so I just wanted to offer a little longer video so that you could see one of our queens, their behavior, and kind of a look under the hood into their colony. So in the water feeder, you need to have some kind of ladder for your bees to get out. I just did it the country way in this colony and put some sticks in there so that the bees that got into the sugar water, the sweet water, could get out. They need a little ramp of sorts, whether you do rocks or sticks or corks. Also, I wanted to show that we don't rip the whole top off when we're checking bees. We just peel back the lid a little bit so that part of the colony is still protected. And that way they're just a little bit calmer when you work them that way, when the whole top isn't off. And we do use 2 smokers when we're going around together because sometimes one of us leapfrogs and gets ahead of the next one. So we both have our smokers going. And you can just see that there's a lot of bees, which is awesome. Here I'm just showing how we're pouring our Sweetwater in with the hive still completely covered. So you don't have to, again, take the whole roof of their colony off while you're adding that sugar water. This is a demonstration of that wintergreen patty I was talking about. I know I mentioned putting it on the floor. This colony, I did not do that. It is an experiment. I am messing around and finding out. I'll let you know what I think. And if you guys have done this before and want to tell me what you learned, please do let me know. So some of them I did put in between, some of them I put on top, some of them I put on the floorboard. The ones for the in-between, of course, they're gonna have a deep on top, and so they'll be walking, from top to bottom and vice versa. So honestly, I was just playing around a little bit with that one, and I would love to know what you guys do that works. Okay, so in this colony, I'm just showcasing, there's still a good amount of brood going on. You can use a frame to cover your colonies if you don't have that other peel. This is a bit of bald brood, and so this is a colony that was declining, and so I did split them and put the frames in other stronger colonies. This is just an example of the full frames of honey that are still in the brood chamber, or excuse me, in the honey supers on top of the brood chambers. Really nice, thick, chunky, beautiful honey. Here you can see some of the larvae at different stages, and then the pollen, just a lot of great pollen. So no need to add to that. Then there's the queen. If you can see her walking through the frame there. This is a dead out colony, so something happened to them that I didn't get to in time, and then the wax moths came in, like the vultures that they are, to clean up, quote unquote, right? And so then we made our way to the next bee yard. So starting out over here, I was just looking at activity. These are two really robust colonies I'm considering splitting. This one is a 10 frame double deep that I moved into an 8 frame double deep. And that's just kind of partway through the process. These are some of our top bars. These are with queens that we have bred at home, and I'm just showcasing how easy it is to work this colony, how calm and cool the bees are, and how well they're still doing this late in the season is just really pleasing to see. Same thing, I'm just kind of working this colony. I don't know what I was doing, but look, I'm a real beekeeper. Awesome. All right, over here you have an example of what happens when the sun melts some of your comb off because you have kept your colony in a place that has full sun. This is why I don't like using full sun, especially with top bars that have metal roofs. That one that I'm pointing to is in a tree line, and it didn't have any of those failures. So inside of the top bar, you can see my wintergreen patty. The feeder's set up a little bit differently. I made a bit of a mess, so I spent some time cleaning that up. And then lastly, I just wanted to remind you, if you're keeping water up by the house for your critters, that it can be a place that your bees template themselves to and find. And so just being careful. And then just the joy of the fall market. So this is our farmers market booth set up, and all of the hard work of the season that's going into the harvest to showcase our beautiful work from the bees and the colony. I'm just super grateful for my friend Susan, who's been with me every step of the way. And yeah, that should do it for your fall colony prep. All right, guys, let me know if you learned anything or if you have other fall beekeeping tips for us in West Texas that I might have missed. Thanks for being here. Again, I'm Tiffany with Hacienda Harlech Honey, and I really appreciate you guys checking out the channel.